Okay, welcome everyone to our first ever factory review. So this is going to be a little video series of me breaking down different factory tours that you see on YouTube. A lot of them don't have any commentary, and it's just an excuse for me to completely nerd out about the manufacturing process and you to come along with the journey. So we are getting a bit better with how we do our video work. I am wearing a lovely lapel or lavalier mic, and fingers crossed the audio is going to be quite a lot better on this one than our previous ones. So let's just start watching the tour and see what happens. So straight off the bat, we're into one of the best rooms in Dowina. This is the wood storeroom. And when I was very lucky to go and visit the Dowina factory, when I was over there, you could see how much passion they have for the woods. They would let you tap test it, and every time I picked up a plate of wood and tapped it, they would snatch it off me and go, no, 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 and tap it, and you'd hear the whole wood resonate. And it was quite a phenomenal skill to be able to learn, being able to tap the wood and really listen for the tone. But they had a lot of passion for their wood there and their wood stores, and everything is immaculately clean. It's all stored absolutely perfectly. You can see the little spacer blocks between the top plates here, just to help all of the air flow through these bits of wood to dry them out evenly. If you were to just stack them all up on top of each other, the middle plates would get damp and the top and the bottom plates would be dry. So you need to space these out, let the air move, and let them really come up to a decent kind of humidity before you start building with them. It's absolutely essential. Let's carry on. It's been like this for so. This is a lovely machine which basically makes two plates completely straight, so you can join the two plates together. The gentleman using this is actually doing this on a bit of a top plate with the top wood. So this is kind of a book match join, where the two plates of wood are cut from the same tree and then they're folded out like a book. And you have to get this join in the middle completely dead straight. And this is also a skill because they match the grain up, and you'll see them drawing on the wood with chalk or with pencil, something that can be easily removed, where each kind of figuring of the grain is and how they exactly want them to match up. And it is quite a skill and quite a process to get this right. So this machine here is a planer thicknesser. So this is actually with a sanding belt. A lot of planer thicknessers have kind of like razor blades on a big drum which spin around, but that can like catch the graining of the wood and chew it up and rip it out. So to minimize any flaws in the wood, you have one with sanding big belts, and it's a conveyor belt. It gets passed through. They can adjust the thickness of it to get the thickness of the wood exactly right. And here you can see them actually testing the thickness with, an old school thickness gauge, all on dials. Absolutely lovely, kind of Victorian period invention, still being used to this day. This is a handmade router bit that they have to, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. They made this all by hand. A lot of their tooling is made by hand. This is a router bit for the Rosettes. So you can see that it's basically on a massive pillar drill. They have a clamping press which is vacuum air pressure. So they put the plate down, they position it correctly, turn on basically like a hoover that sucks the top plate down. And when you see they remove this top plate, there's a template underneath it which means that it's perfectly lined up. They get the rosette in the right place every time. Here is a gentleman painting in the hide glue or wood glue. I think it's hide glue they use to glue their rosettes in. That's why they're still using the paintbrushes. But this is all done by hand process. Absolutely lovely to see these traditions still being used. You can't actually see the tool he's using here to install the rosette. It's all pre-glued together before they install it into the top plates. But it's basically like if you ever seen one of those old school brushes to shave with, it's like a bit of wood, like a handle with a curved bottom and a bit of leather strapped to it. So he pushes this rosette into the trough that he's made with the router to be able to glue it in, and the leather makes sure that it doesn't stick, it's easy to clean, and it doesn't damage anything. So this is a bandsaw where they're cutting the shape of the top out, and they stick every top to a bit of sacrificial wood. And this means that when the blade goes through the top wood, it doesn't have any frays on the top wood. It can get quite frayed edges if you just go straight in on a bandsaw. So by gluing it to a bit of, or taping it to a bit of sacrificial wood, means that you get some really clean edges every time you cut it. This is another handmade tool by Dowina on another big pillar drill. Love to see this. So this is how they sand the perfect circle into their sound holes. They've cut them out with the router, but it leaves quite a sharp edge. So to bevel them off, basically take the edge off, they have this kind of press clamp with 2 long bits of sandpaper in it, and they'll just push the top straight into this, and it will give them a perfect beveled edge to their sound holes. As you can see, most of these processes are all still done by hand. That's why they output only 1 or 2 guitars a day, but it's absolutely beautiful to be able to carry these traditions on and not just have a machine stamp them out. So this is probably the most important process of top making, the making of the top. This is a steel template that Dowina have designed, and it's been CNC cut out. So this is a bracing template. You'll see in a second there's this roller in the front here, and here he is rolling the glue onto the braces. So this means that you don't get any over glue and any splurge out on the bracing, and then he'll put this into the template and it's perfect every single time. But now I'm storing memories of you. This is actually one of the most interesting machines, something that I'd love to get my hands on. This is a vacuum press. So the kind of bit of fabric in the wooden frame here, it's actually a bladder. It's made from like a rubberized material, and the tops go into this press. The top closes down and then it's put under vacuum pressure. So it not only cures the glue faster, but it pushes all of the bracing onto the top evenly and gives you a really nice seal. Loving you should be so easy. Loving you should be. So now we've skipped forward a little bit. The guitar has its sides and its back on, and this is a router with a kind of routing jig that again is all handmade by Dowina. So he is cutting the binding into this guitar. So the trough to install the binding is being routed. And as you can see, the guitar is put again on a vacuum clamp on the bench. So it's all held under vacuum pressure. It's great because you don't need to glue the guitar to anything. You don't need to brace it under pressure. It just sucks and it stays there. And this is a kind of 360 clamp. So it's under vacuum pressure, but he can spin it and contort it in any way he wants. And then you can see them gluing on the bracing. So this is done in the old school fashion, a bit of hot glue, get in there fast, tape it and wait. And it doesn't take very long for this glue to set, but it's again a very skilled job to match up both sides so you don't get any gaps in the bracing. And they all use tonewood bracing as well. Sorry, not bracing, binding. I'm talking almost too fast. So all of these bindings are made by Dowina in-house from Tonewoods, bent in-house, and then they install them all by hand. They'll be a little oversized so they can get it on the sander afterwards. Here you go, they're sanding down the binding here. A little bit more sanding on the sides. Lift me, pull me up, bring me back to life. This is interesting. So you got the CAD design of their necks here. A little sneaky kind of showing off on their CAD stuff. But they only CNC the necks to make sure their necks are perfect every time. As it used to be, as it used to be. And that's how you could see just then on the template, and now you can see on the necks themselves. They actually create like a stared effect. So you have one router bit on the CNC machine, which takes off the mass material, takes off the most of it, and then they'll put another bit on, and that will do the finishing passes. Kind of give it its final shape. Loving you should be so easy. Loving you should be. This, as you can see, the finishing bit here, it's more cylindrical and it's a much finer grain. So you can see the kind of stared effect that the big router bit to take off the mass material has done. And now you've got the finishing passes. This is a handy tool that we use ourselves. It's a block of wood with a load of holes in it. As simple as that. But all of these holes are numbered. So a fretboard will be thinner and narrower at the nut end and be wider down the bottom. So each fret is actually a slightly different length. So you have basically a block of wood numbered with all your frets in it, and you can pre-cut all your frets to exactly the right length or just a touch oversized and put them in their relevant holes ready for installation. And here you can see they're just tapping in the one side of the fret. So they match up one side, tap it in lightly, and then you'll see in a second how they install it. I can't say. And this is a fret press with a radius cool in it. So a cool is just the interchangeable press itself. They come with different radiuses, and this is like a big pressing machine. You can do it on a pillar drill. They actually have an actual press in their factory. Specifically set up for this function of installing frets. They press their frets one at a time. I think this is a way better way of doing it, like the Taylor version, where they've got a big press which covers the whole neck. Like I said before, the frets taper off and are different lengths. So if you have one whole jig that presses all the frets at the same time, you are just giving yourself a bit more room for making mistakes. Whereas doing them one at a time, you've got full control of every single fret. And I mean, the frets and the neck are the most important part, really. This gives super even pressure, and you can see that it's moving really smoothly down because this press is actually on like a roller. So it just really smoothly, it's all under the luthier's control, and it really smoothly rolls down to each next fret. Here is another trick of the trade. It's a bit of wood with a 45-degree angle cut into it and a file inserted into that 45-degree angle. Actually, this probably looks about a 35-degree, but this helps you sand in a perfect fret edge every single time. This is probably, and I just skipped right back to the beginning because my big thumbs. So this is the only other bit of proper machinery they have. This is a laser engraver, and this makes sure that the logo is the same every single time. I actually don't mind them using CAD for their necks and laser engravers for their logos. I mean, it's one of the most important parts of it. You want your branding to be exactly the same every single time. So don't blame them. Bit of tape means that you don't burn the edges. You see the tape's been burnt because lasers obviously are very, very hot, normally about 5,000 degrees. You can see some are inlaid, some are just laser engraved, some are inlaid with abalone, some with pearl. And here is the spraying. So they do use a lacquer. A lot of the time it's a matte lacquer. Let's just go back to that. But you can see that it's all done by hand, and it's done one at a time. So they have full control over their lacquering stage. And the thinner the lacquer on an acoustic guitar, the better the tone. So a matte lacquer is lovely. It basically gives you like a satin finish. And spraying them by hand, I mean, you see the Furch or Furch in England factory, they have a big robot arm that does this for them. It's actually a robot arm by Ford. But we'll get onto that in another video of these factory reviews. And yeah, it's cool to see a big robot arm do it, but you lose the control and the kind of luthier aspect of an instrument there. This one has electronics, so of course you've got to drill some holes and cut some holes. Moving on to a classical all of a sudden, this is installing machine heads. Very nice peg head that. Time for the string up, the setup, the saddle and the nut. So, just to explain this is Stanislav, or Stan. He's the head honcho of Dowina. He's the creator and the owner, and he runs the business with his daughter, Erica. He was predominantly a violin maker who then turned to classical guitar. He's a phenomenal classical guitar player, as you can hear. This is him when he's a little bit younger. He's got a few more grey hairs by now. Sorry, Stan. But he's just a wonderful character, absolutely lovely human. Nothing but smiles, passion, and good coffee from him. And this is Dowina Castle, or commonly known as Devon Castle. So this is about a 2-minute walk down the road from their factory. It's an absolutely gorgeous area, right on the edge of the Danube River. It's still a very small little town, you know, not much goes on in it, but it's an absolutely beautiful place to visit. I haven't really gone around Slovakia that much. I've basically just had a fleeting visit to the factory, but it was one of my favourite areas to walk around and see the castle. And there you have it. That's the factory tour. So that's a little bit of the insider kind of thing about Dowina guitars, a bit of the inside the workshop. I hope that my explanations and my kind of nerdiness has given you a little bit more of an insight of how they actually produce these guitars. It's a very hands-on process, and it's beautiful to actually see. They're still training up a lot of young people in their area, and there's also a lot of female workers there, which is awesome to see, because this kind of industry has been male dominated for many, many years. And to see so many women passionate about building such lovely instruments is a great thing to see as well. And I think Erica's really kind of a forefronting person behind wanting to employ more women, and I completely applaud her for that. It's a very, very cool thing. So yeah, Dowina guitars, handmade in Dowina in Bratislava, and made with real passion. You know, so many of their tools are handmade and made custom for their own models. And yeah, I hope this video has given you a little bit of inspiration to go out and try some for yourself. So there's a few retailers in the UK that do them. It might be a travel for you, but I highly recommend it to go out and play some of these gorgeous guitars. So as you see, I had a few sat next to me. These are both Pantheon series, all solid wood, handmade, 100% handmade. And they're experimenting with several different finishes as well. So yeah, come down and try them. They're very honest, very natural instruments. As you've seen by the video, there's no bling, there's just all wood. Wood and bone, all the good stuff, the stuff we like. And every time you walk past them in the shop, it just smells amazing. I wish Dowina would bottle that smell and sell it, because it's just like, I would wear it every day. It's woody goodness. Anyhow, that's enough from me, and see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.